This is the moment the world has been dreading for 40 years. Today, February 28th, 2026, the shadow war is officially over. But as the smoke rises over Tehran, a much more terrifying question is beginning to emerge. Have we just witnessed the opening salvos of World War III? Early this morning, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury and Operation Roaring Lion. This was not a surgical strike or a limited warning. It was a massive daylight joint campaign hitting over 500 targets across the Islamic Republic. We are seeing a level of kinetic force that has not been used in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. But if you are watching the news right now, you are likely seeing the wrong story. You are seeing the orange glow of explosions and hearing about the immediate panic at gas stations. The truth is much bigger. What happened today is not just a military operation, it is a total demolition of the global status quo. From the reported death of the supreme leader to a preemptive strike that just sidelined the United Nations, the map of the world was rewritten in a single morning. This is the story of how the rules of global power just changed, and why the oil crisis is actually the least of our problems. The first thing that makes this conflict different from everything that came before is the head of the snake strategy. In past decades, the US and Israel played a game of containment. They hit proxy bases in Syria or militia depots in Iraq. They targeted the fingers of the Iranian regime. Not today. Today, they went for the brain. As of this hour, Israeli security officials are reporting that Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed when a barrage of bunker-buster munitions leveled his highly secure compound in northern Tehran. While Iranian state media is in chaotic denial, claiming the leader is in good health at a secret location, the silence from the Ayatollah himself is deafening. President Trump told the press just hours ago, "We feel that is a correct story." Geopolitically, this is a historic gamble. For 40 years, the Iranian regime has operated through the axis of resistance: Hezbollah, the Houthis, and various militias. This network requires a central bank and a central brain in Tehran. By targeting the supreme leader and the top brass of the IRGC simultaneously, the US and Israel are betting that the entire network will effectively become brain dead. If the regime falls today, the shadow war disappears. But if it survives, we have just created a wounded, nuclear threshold enemy with absolutely nothing left to lose. And that brings us to the most dangerous part of this equation: the nuclear reality. Today's strikes did not just target military bases, they hammered the most sensitive parts of Iran's nuclear infrastructure: the enrichment halls at Natanz and the mountain-shielded facility at Fordow. This is what military strategists call nuclear denial. The US is not trying to negotiate anymore. They are physically removing the possibility of Iran becoming a nuclear state by destroying the technology required to build a bomb. The message sent to the rest of the world is chilling. Just 48 hours ago, there were rumors of a peace breakthrough mediated by Oman. But the US and Israel clearly decided that diplomacy was a dead end. By striking now, they have moved from a policy of containment to a policy of elimination. This is a signal to every other nation on the nuclear threshold. In the New World Order of 2026, if you reach for the bomb, you will not get a treaty, you will get a total military dismantling. But while the bombs fall in Iran, the real danger might be what is happening in Moscow and Beijing. This is where World War III becomes a terrifyingly real possibility. Russia's foreign ministry has already issued a blistering statement calling the strikes a deliberate, premeditated, and unprovoked act of armed aggression against a sovereign UN member. They have accused Washington and Tel Aviv of hiding behind nuclear concerns to pursue illegal regime change. Remember, Iran is Russia's most critical military partner right now, providing the drones and missiles that fuel Russia's own war efforts. If Iran collapses, Russia loses its primary back channel for military supplies. Then there is China. Beijing has expressed deep concern, calling for an immediate halt to all military actions. Why? Because China is the primary customer for Iranian oil. Over 80% of Iran's exports go to China. By striking Iran's naval bases and oil terminals, the US has effectively cut off a major artery of the Chinese economy. If Russia and China decide that they cannot allow the US to reset the Middle East unilaterally, we are not just looking at a regional conflict. We are looking at a global realignment. We have already seen Russia offer to help wherever needed to the Iranian Foreign Ministry. If Moscow begins providing real-time intelligence or advanced air defense support to what is left of the Iranian military, the line between a Middle Eastern war and a global war evaporates. And this is where we have to talk about your wallet, because the economic aspect of this war is a weapon in itself. Within hours of the strikes, the Strait of Hormuz, the 21-mile-wide choke point through which 20% of the world's oil flows, was effectively closed. Now, everyone knows that oil at $150 a barrel, or at $200 a barrel, is a nightmare. But the deeper geopolitical secret is the threat to the petrodollar. Since the 1970s, the US dollar has been the world's reserve currency because oil is traded in dollars. Iran, along with the BRICS nations, has been leading the charge to de-dollarize the world's energy trade. If this war drags on and the shipping lanes stay blocked, China and other major powers will have no choice but to build a permanent financial system outside of the US dollar to secure their energy. This war is a stress test for the entire global financial order. If the US topples the regime quickly, they secure the dollar for another generation. If they do not, we are looking at a fundamental shift where the East finally breaks away from the West. Your gas prices are just the fever. A shifting global financial order is the underlying disease. Perhaps the most haunting part of today's events is the silence of the rules-based order. This was not a mission sanctioned by the United Nations. There was no coalition of the willing. European leaders in France and Germany have expressed deep concern and say they were not even warned. This marks the official return of aggressive unilateralism. For 30 years, the world operated on the idea that major wars required international consensus. Today, the United States and Israel signaled that international law is secondary to kinetic superiority. They have effectively told the United Nations that their opinions are irrelevant when it comes to existential threats. This sets a precedent that will be studied by every military power for the next 50 years. If the United States can do this to Iran, what stops China from doing it to Taiwan? What stops Russia from expanding further into Europe? The rules-based order did not just crack today, it shattered. As we speak, Iran has begun its retaliation. Ballistic missiles have struck United States bases in Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Shrapnel from intercepted missiles has caused casualties in Tel Aviv and Abu Dhabi. President Trump delivered a direct call for revolution to the Iranian people. He said that the hour of their freedom is at hand. The United States is banking on the idea that the Iranian people will see these strikes as a signal to rise up and finish the regime from the inside. They are hoping for a clean regime change. But history is a brutal teacher. When you decapitate a regime without a massive ground presence to maintain order, you rarely get freedom. You get a power vacuum. You get warlords. You get a desperate, radicalized military with nothing left to lose. The 40-year shadow war is over. A new, much more dangerous era has begun. We are standing at a crossroads where the next 48 hours will determine if this is a decisive victory or the trigger for a conflict that will define the rest of our lives. What do you think? Was this a necessary move to stop a nuclear disaster, or have we just opened a door to World War III that can never be closed? Let's talk in the comments. Thank you for watching.